Thank you for joining us today. I have Mike Eischer here of One World Supply Chain Consulting. And so on this channel, I bring amazing people from my network to share as experts in their industry and resources to the people that I work with. So just a way to add 10 to 15 minutes of time and value to share about amazing people in my network so people can learn about what's out there, what people are doing, and the awesome people that are serving all different types of industries. So, usually, if there's someone that you need in your business, I can direct you to someone that could probably help you. So, Mike, please tell us a little bit about any recent things that you're seeing. Obviously, we could talk about all different topics for hours in your industry. But any of the major things you're kind of seeing come up lately that are common issues that you're seeing and ways that you're helping clients, maybe a recent story, something like that that you'd like to share to talk about what you're doing. Thank you for joining.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think very topical right now is the discussion on tariffs. I mean, the new announcements that came out yesterday. So we're getting a lot of traction, a lot of customers and clients asking and having discussions about how do they diversify their supply chain outside of Southeast Asia, or certainly the tariffs are more unilateral. So what are the best options for them? So a current example that we're working with a company that does glass vases for flowers, and we're looking at alternative supplies for them because they source out of China right now, and we're looking at their total landed cost. We've built a model, a total landed cost model that basically we can drop in for any of our clients and say, okay, here's where you produce from today. Here's all the elements that make up your cost structure, and do some scenarios, run some scenarios for them to see if there's a better option for them to help them reduce their costs and possibly improve their availability and improve their quality of their products as well. So those seem to be very topical right now with all the things going on with tariffs. There's a lot of questions in the supply chain right now as where to source from.
Yeah, so it's interesting and not being part of your industry at all, it's interesting to learn what companies need your services. So this is a vase glass company or whatever you said, that type of company. What other types of things are you seeing are the most common types of companies that you work with or the types of customers you have with who you serve?
A lot of companies we're dealing with right now are they're purchasing finished goods or components from overseas that go into a finished good. So we're seeing a lot of clients like another one we're talking with. We're discussing they make hardware and fasteners. So those aren't incredibly complex products, but they're certainly very important. So quality and stability is key when you're talking about connecting something or fastening something together so it stays put. So they source from overseas as well, and we're looking, is there a possibility to alternative supply shorter, closer? They don't have to tie us up as much cash. So really the industry perspective, it really can be any industry at this point. I mean, you even see the large automotives, not that we would probably work with larger organizations. We can certainly, but usually they work with the larger firms. Um, that's what we're seeing today. It's pretty much across any industry at this point, really. And we're getting clients that also are looking, okay, if we want to build a manufacturing plant in the US, what does that take? And it's an 18 to 36 month
Okay.
process to figure out what you need to do. And there's a lot of components that go into that as well.
So yeah, tell me more about the next piece. Obviously, there's the current demands of what these companies are needing. But yeah, what else can you do when you work with somebody? Tell me a little bit more about some of the services you offer, like you're saying.
Yeah. So one thing I mean, we would also look at other areas and opportunities to take out costs. So if their transportation modes, are they optimizing their footprint? Do they have their other facilities, other distribution centers in the right places based on their demand and everything? So we really look at that from that standpoint and try to determine if we look at their talent aspect. We look at, do they have the right talent in the right place? Do they we'll look at their technology. Do they have the right technology to utilize in place? Are they using it to their benefit? So we will look at pretty much anything that affects their supply chain. Do they, are their warehouses efficient? Do they have the right bandwidth or throughput in their warehouses. So we can look at, are there processes? Do they have the right processes? You don't want to certainly automate bad processes. So looking in a lot of times the smaller companies really don't know what they don't know, and they're doing a great job. They're muscling through things, but there are opportunities to make them more efficient and more effective. So supply chain doesn't have to be a, a pain point for them.
Okay, there's so many facets to what you do with larger companies, you said smaller companies, all different industries. But it comes down to having a good team, reducing costs, and obviously being there as these kinds of other problems arise. So in particular, who do you really want to work with the most? You said maybe the bigger companies don't utilize your services. Yeah, so what kinds of people do you really want to be connected to?
Sure. We work best in the small to middle market, probably. I'd say 750 million in revenue and less is probably what we would define as our middle market. Services we offer, we can do advisory services slash fractional if they need a fractional service. We can do project-based services if they want to do something specific that they don't have the resources to do. Or we can do a full-on supply chain assessment. We can do analysis and then provide them with a playbook of here are the 4 or 5 things we think you could work on and the opportunities to improve and the ROI associated with it.
I was just going to ask, what is like the biggest thing that you see cost savings in? Obviously, you're talking about, logistics and shipping costs, all of that, but also, having processes, systems for the teams. But when it comes to the companies you work with the most, what's like the number one cost drainer of what you see?
I would say right now, being in the world of private equity and companies being acquired, multiple companies, so you'll feather in other companies into your organization, but they have disparate systems, they have completely different processes. So the opportunity to harmonize those processes,
Okay.
streamline their technology, streamline their operations, economies of scale across all these locations, kind of centralize or regionalize their operations really are opportunities to take out costs. Now, we don't look at headcount reduction as a thing. We look at it process efficiency, but we think if these are good quality people, there are other spots for them in the organization where they can add value.
Better use of time and systems being put in place,
Yep.
make everything more effective and work together more how it's supposed to.
Correct.
Do you have any other recent specific stories you'd like to share about how you helped other businesses other than what you talked about in the beginning? Any recent, stories you'd like to share?
Yeah, right now we're working with a client on a fleet optimization. So they have a private fleet, and we're working on optimizing the utilization of that fleet, making sure they're getting the best bang for their buck from a miles and cube utilization. But we're also looking at should they purchase today, but should they do a purchase or a full service lease? There's pluses and minuses to both. Full service lease, you have consistency of your expenses throughout, whereas if you purchase, your expenses will fluctuate based on maintenance and things of that nature. So we're evaluating right now with them what is the best solution for them from a cash flow standpoint.
And so, being that it's you, do you also have a team that works with you other than that, are you doing all of the consulting yourself with how much value you're bringing to people? It sounds like there's many hats to be worn, so.
I have several partners in the business, partners that they are equally, we're all 30 plus year experienced individuals in the industry.
Okay.
And then we have about 30 contractors, 1099 people that we will bring into projects based on need. Everyone has no less than 10 years experience in the
Wow.
industry. That's our value prop to our clients is everyone will be experienced individuals. And then we have partnerships with other organizations too. If something that's not in our bandwidth or our skill set, we may partner with other companies and bring them in at the agreement of a client. We wouldn't certainly do that
Okay.
if we didn't feel the client was okay with it. So,
Okay.
yeah. Yeah.
When someone does meet with you to learn about how One World Supply Chain can help them, they'll meet with you and then possibly work with other people in your team to get everything they need based on their needs.
Yeah, every engagement will have myself or one of my partners as kind of their lead person because we
Okay.
believe we want to stay connected to the business. I don't, uh, yes, there are other things that have to get done, but I believe it's important, and that's one of our value propositions is we stay embedded in the business.
Okay, awesome. I'm glad I asked these questions because I already knew a little bit about what you do, but even though it's totally out of my realm, it's really interesting to learn how much you have a whole team to really serve people with these really large, complex needs of what's going on in this industry today. I know you mentioned earlier that you will be speaking. You'll have another presentation coming up sometime at the end of April.
Yep. Yeah, I did a podcast about a month ago talking about tariffs again, top of mind, and there was popularity and a request to do a second series on it. So we're going to talk more now that there's more clarity on where the tariffs have landed. Now it's really digging into and helping companies. What kind of strategies should they employ? How can we, give them some information that they can utilize?
Excellent. So will that be like a LinkedIn Live or something like that? Do you know what it'll be like?
It'll be a LinkedIn Live, and then it'll be
Okay.
also posted to all the podcast platforms after the fact. Yep.
Awesome. And
Yep.
then people can also find probably the old video as well. We can share a link for that or something when in the
Yeah.
description.
Yep. Absolutely.
Direct people to the previous one as well. Okay. And then
Yep.
we'll have a date in the future for this one coming up. And
Yep.
where else would you like people to connect with you at One World Supply Chain Consulting?
They can connect generally directly with me at Mike at oneworldsc.com. And or they can certainly contact us through the website, although we're going through a little bit of a reconstruction of the website. So, but probably the best way is connect with me, and then we'll go from there.
I will share your calendar link in the description so they can find your website and definitely connect with you.
Great.
Anything else you'd like to add?
No, well, yes. I mean, I guess we enjoy the opportunity to learn about people's businesses, and if there's a way for us to help them be more efficient and more productive, that's our goal. That's our mission.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for your time. I know that it's really great for people in my network to know you. So this will be out at the end of the month, end of April here. And I usually share one person from my network each month in on my YouTube channel. So this video comes out at the end of each month with really great people in my network. So stay tuned for the more interesting and successful, brilliant people that I bring to my network. So thank you again
Awesome.
for being here today, Mike.
Thank you, Jen. Appreciate it.
Awesome. Have a great rest of your day.
You too.
Thank you.